So here's my first fly tying video. I've never made one before, but I figured why not. So I have a long shanked 1/0 hook, and if you look at it, there's about the size of it. It says S74SNP-DT, quantity 100, and I paid about 18 or 20 bucks on eBay. And I forgot who the seller was, but any hooks that you choose to use are fine. Most people use shorter shank hooks when they're tying saltwater patterns, but I figured I was going for snook and maybe some other fish that you'd find in the Gulf, and some of them might be a little toothy, so you might want a little shank to hold on to when you're removing it. So I had put some lead on here and just cinched it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I cut a Zonker strip. It's a little bit longer than I need, but this was the last bit of it, and I'm content with just using that. So I secure it down, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I actually like tying this way because then I have my Zonker and it's tied in there, and I don't have to worry about a lot of fouling. One of the things that I do, I like to come around a couple times behind it, and that helps to prop it up a little bit. And since I'm going for snook, I don't mind if the tail is a little bit longer, but for trout, usually I don't like to go too long, like maybe till about here, like the length of the hook itself, the actual shank, because sometimes trout, especially rainbows, will have a tendency to bite a little bit short. I have just some regular dubbing here that ice dub pearl, and throw a bit of that on there, a little bit more. And I can leave a little bit, hanging, or I can use a dubbing brush. But what I like to do, I have, I think this is rabbit, or you can use Arctic fox, or synthetic. But I really like, how rabbit is in the water. So you can, cut some of that off. Doesn't have to be, perfect. You can pull it off. Obviously take off the, the leather. And I just put it on there, overlap the tail just a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. And there I go. I got some on there. And then I have the belly, so you can see it. If you really want to make it look nice, you can put some on the sides as well. So do it again if you want. Put a little bit more on there. You can just cinch it down. Some of it might come off. Then I like to put a little bit more dubbing. And you can put dubbing in between each clump. It's up to you. But I think I'll be alright for that. You can also put some in, like this. And so it's a little bit longer. And that works great too. That's fine. You can use silver, and you can use marabou if you prefer. I've done this. I do a similar streamer for trout with just a marabou boa that I got online. It's kind of modeled. See, there's one. I put one on the side. See, that's empty, so I can put some more on the side. Put some on the top, and you just keep going around and doing that. Like, I want to put a little bit there, kind of even it out. See, maybe I want it a little bit thicker up there. I can put some on the side over here. But one of the things that I've seen in the saltwater is the bait fish aren't really fat. There's a lot of skinny bait fish. course, there's fat ones too, but it doesn't have to have a lot of bulk. If you're going for trout and you're using darker colors, your olives, your natural rabbit fur, and maybe some dark tan, and you're trying to imitate some bait fish that you might find in the streams, especially if you're going for sculpins, sculpin imitation. Obviously you want it to be a little bit thicker up front, but in the ocean seems a lot of bait fish are thinner, especially on the East Coast and up in the Northeast, like your silver sides and things like that. You don't see them or sand eels, bay anchovies. They're not real thick. So, but I've just tied it with just a simple rabbit zonker, and that was it. I didn't even do what I'm doing here, but this does work. I could use this for trout too, so it's okay if I tie it a little bit thicker. And boom, there you go. And I have a nice imitation. If I want to put a little bit of dubbing up front to build up the head, I got a little bit of rabbit mixed in there, that's fine too, but it's just simple. And now, you don't have to use eyes, some people do, but here's something that I wanted to show you all. I got a tooth flosser. I don't have my whip finisher. I left it somewhere and don't feel like going and getting it right now. But I thought I'd try this out. I put a couple notches in it on either side, and watch this. So I just grab onto it and boom, I whip finished. I can do it again, but I thought this was great. I was trying to tie some little size 18 emergers last night without the whip finisher, and it was just a pain in the tush. So, and there you go. You can add some UV finish if you want. Clump that on there. Put some eyes on it if you want, but you don't need to. And that's a great imitation. Now, when I was fishing for snook in the St. Petersburg area, I did not catch a snook on the real pretty ones that I tied with red throats and, the fancy ones like that. It was just, all white with some, opal flash. And, even with a little bit of green on the top or a tiny little bit of tan, you can do that, but white was fine. And it took me a bit to catch my first snook, but I did. And also I recommend using, a good, 18 inches to 2 feet or even a foot of, like 17 to 20 pound mono. I lost the first snook that I had on a fly rod because it bit through the leader. Their teeth are similar to bass, but just you're going to see more abrasion, than a bass. But they will, cut through your leader if they're, if it's like 8 or 10 pound test. So I recommend a bigger leader. So thank you for watching. That's my first video, and hopefully there'll be more.